could do all, change leads over stride, canter in place, change leads, cantering in place, and all that. All the old world horsemen could. So, and this is, most of those old world horsemen wrote treatises or books, and of course I've been a nut on that and studying those old-time horsemen. But I can tell you about everything that we do on a horse, and you're going to see it on these horses here. And we're going to show it to you, and this is the way it amounts to. And I'm going to tell you about the 6 things that everything is based on a horse whenever you ride a horse. The first thing that you must have on a horse, if you're going to teach him anything, if he's going to be any kind of a horse at all, the first thing you must have on your horse is relaxation. This is number 1 in teaching a horse anything, is relaxation. You cannot get through to a horse's mind. You cannot show him what you want him to do. You can't get him to comprehend what you're trying to show him. If he's afraid of you, or if he's scared of you, or if he's mad at you, or that, if he's not in a relaxed move, you aren't going to teach him anything. So this is the first thing that you want to do with your horse. The second one, we call these principles. I'm talking old world horsemanship now. We call these principles. First one, relaxation. The second thing that you must have on your horse is controlled forward motion. Everything we do on a horse, remember, we're going forward with him. And we must control that forward motion on our horse. That's the second thing that we must have on our horse. Control forward motion. This is control forward motion. I'm going to stand my horse out here and I'm going to lope him off, and I want him to strike off in the correct lead in one step. That's control forward motion. I'm going to send my horse in a wide open circle and wide open as fast as he can run, and suddenly have him lope quietly. That's control forward motion. I'm going to ride my roping horse into a box and have him stop and run as fast as he can and stop as hard as he can. An instant later, that's control forward motion. So this is number 2. Number 3 that we must have on our horses, and few people realize that, is collection. If a horse is going to operate correctly, his face must be on the vertical, because that's the only time his feet are in the right place. And this is the craziest thing you ever seen. If a horse's face is on the vertical, he can engage his hindquarters better. And this is what we must have. We must have his horse. As our horses stand here, 65% of their weight's on the front end, and we've got to transfer that weight to the back end so that he's carrying as much of his weight on his back end as his front end, and that's called collection. Face on the vertical, we'll show you a little bit of it. We've got some horses that really are collected. Third, remember, relaxation, control forward motion, collection. The next thing that we must have on our horses, we must have control of the front end and the back end independently, and we must have control of them in unison. We must control that front end and that back end separately, and we must really have it controlled. In other words, that's where we must be able to work his front end feet and his back end feet and do it easily and quickly. Front and back end control. That's the 4th one of the principles. The 5th principle that we must have on a horse, if we're going to do something with him, he must be straight. We cannot have a horse that lopes off with his head or walks off with his head canted to one side, or his rear end off to one side, or front end off to one side, or traveling crooked. You've all seen crooked horses. The only time a horse will do correctly is when he's straight. Straight means his hind leg follows in the same plane as his front leg, and that's the only time he's in balance, is when the horse is in that kind of a situation. Balance is everything. We must have this horse straight. Do you realize that a horse can walk down this pen here with his head canted off to one side? The horse is not straight and he's out of balance. We must have straightness in our horse. That's fifth. And would you believe the sixth one is a very important one, schooling a horse, and it's called transitions. You must be able to move a horse from one direction to another easily and quietly. You must move a horse from one speed to another easily and quietly. And you must be able to keep a horse going fast and slow that way. So these are called transitions, and you must have it. Everybody knows you'd like to see a horse move from one direction to another easily, change leads, go one direction. Those are transitions. So those are the six. These are called the principles of horsemanship. Now, these are not my ideas. They're the greatest horsemen in the world, and have been for 200 years. 6 principles. Now, in order to bring those 6 principles to our horses, then we have to go into details to get our horses to do these things. This, how do I get straightness? How do I get front end control? Those are the details. And there are 1,000 details that go into training a horse correct. So this is a thing.